With the Mario Brothers and plumbing's a game. We're not like the others who get all the fame. If your sink is in trouble, you can call us on the double. We're faster than the others, you'll be hooked on the brothers. Hooked on the brothers. Yo, you're in for a treat, so hang on to your seat. Get ready for adventure and remarkable feats. You'll meet Koopas and Troopers, the princess and the others. Hanging with the plumbers, you'll be hooked on the brothers. To the bridge.
Oh, well, that was a lot of fun. What's up, guys? Tim Zabriskie here, back at it again with the brand new vid. It's really dark in here for some reason. What's going on? Oh, here we go. That's a lot better. Just gotta adjust the lights. We got a great little Monday night stream here for you. I'm being joined by a very good friend of mine in the old wrestling business who happens to be a pretty huge movie buff, if you will. He's got his own podcast on the Anchor.fm network, which includes the Apple Podcast and Spotify and all these other ones, which is fantastic. Give it up for my friend Sergeant Fury, everybody. Sergeant Fury, are you?
Hey, thank you, Tim. Thanks for having me on tonight, dude.
Where's the video?
I don't know. Can you see me?
No, we can't see you at all.
See the part. I do a podcast, and I'm terrible with technology, which is like a double-edged.
We had you like less than 5 minutes ago, and he's gone. No, he's kind of there, right? Is that are you there, sir?
Oh, I'm here. I can hear you, brother.
We can hear you. We just can't see you. Where did you go? Did you? I don't know. So we'll just go with the audio on this one. Yeah, as I said, we have a very great and fantastic little presentation for you today. Sergeant Fury, what did you think of the Super Mario Brothers intro that we just got right there?
You know what's funny is I think you said it before we went on the air. Some things just don't age well. That was one of those that aged perfectly. That's such a throwback to Saturday mornings. It's not even funny. So
yeah,
I was happy to hear that.
I completely agree with you too, because I'm watching the thing and I'm just like, wow, this is great. This is bringing me right back to where I was with Captain Lou. You know what I mean? Sitting right in front of the TV, probably like this far away, like
with the giant screen, the wooden frame, and the dial on the side. That was the way we had to do it before we got
with the control. 2 different dials, right?
And you didn't touch it on the side because the color and the reception wouldn't come in. Kids these days don't understand the struggles.
Exactly, and at the same time, it's like you're eating dry cereal. You're just at the time you're just like, you know what? Fuck milk. I don't even care.
You're just running. You're like, okay, I'm going to get the Cocoa Krispies. I'm just going to shovel it into my face because after this was probably, God, if I'm thinking of the time frame of this show, it was either a rerun of Transformers or Ninja Turtles was on after this. So it's like,
yeah,
this was like the Fox Kids right early in the morning, like 6:30 show before everything else.
Oh,
did.
yeah.
So awesome.
What about Muppet Babies? Do you remember Muppet Babies? That was like my favorite show when I was a kid.
I still hear Muppet Babies theme song in my head, and when I saw that got a reboot and I was watching it with my kid, I was like, this isn't Muppet Babies. Where's the theme song? Because it was like Muppet Babies, and it just went, and that was terrible singing. I'm sorry. Shouldn't have put you people through that.
No, I know. I'm trying to find it here, but it's not. Is this it? That is definitely not it.
No.
This is like the Muppet Babies Junior that it popped up for me.
Yeah. Because the original was sung by Kermit and Miss Piggy and Fozzie.
No, it's not happening. I tried to type in Muppet Babies really fast into the Spotify, but it wasn't the classic Muppet Babies will make our dreams come true.
When your world looks kind of weird and
you
it
wish
is
that
in
you were
danger, and it
there.
was Kermit the Frog dressed up like Indiana Jones.
Just close your eyes and make a wish.
Oh my God!
I got it. Feeling good about my my Muppet Babies. I'm gonna go to the karaoke bar and request the Muppet Babies theme song. But
Between that and any Disney kids show,
yeah,
at that time.
yeah. So going from that, now what I wished when back in like 1994 when they decided, and I know you'll have the proper dates, but back when they decided what they should do when it came time for Super Mario Brothers to get its own movie. That's kind of what we all were wishing, right? Just like a real live, maybe Captain Lou himself comes back and I don't know, like stomps on some Trooper Coopers and Cooper Troopers and whatnot. But this is what we got. Be prepared for like the longest minute of your life right now too.
Where are we? I got a feeling we're not in Brooklyn no more.
They're brothers. They're plumbers.
Hold on. Mario! Luigi!
They're on the trail of a kidnapped princess and a mystical meteorite.
It's incredible!
That gives anyone who possesses it the power to rule the universe.
Get me the rock! Come and get it, lizard!
The Rock?
They must rescue the princess
Is that what he said?
Alien species escaping.
and make it safely back
Later, alligator.
to our world
Are you alright?
before time runs out.
Shoot him! Get him! Yes!
This is like the longest minute and a half of my
Mario
life.
Brothers, this ain't no game.
So yeah, so that was the whole movie. That's literally all you got to watch for the entire thing.
With a Yoshi cameo. Was
Was
My
that
God.
Yoshi or I thought that was Bowser? Or did I miss the Yoshi part?
Bowser was Dennis Hopper in that movie, and he walked around with 4 blonde cornrows the entire time and a big leather jacket.
Yeah.
And Yoshi actually was a tiny T-Rex in the movie.
Oh,
Because
okay.
Daisy gets captured, she's thrown in a jail cell, and there's this little tiny T-Rex with a chain around his ankle because, he's adorable and they had to
it's pretty ridiculous, like the whole thing. Just when you say it like that,
I think the worst part about it is when I don't know how you felt when you heard that there was going to be a Super Mario Brothers movie, but I was like, this could totally be awesome. And
Yeah.
you had flying boots and an under like it was the worst parts of film that you could imagine. Like you could tell that they really didn't give a shit making this movie. It was
No.
almost like from the makers of Masters of the Universe, we're gonna ruin your childhood once again.
Yeah,
And we're
yeah.
just gonna stomp on the Super Mario Brothers. Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo tried. You could tell they really tried, but there was no salvaging this one. The only cool redeeming part about this was Mario was pissed off at one point because he was going to take his girlfriend to WrestleMania, and he needed to get back in New York City in time
Yeah.
to take her to Wrestle fucking Mania.
Right.
That I marked out for as a kid.
That was the only thing. So you're telling me that the part that wasn't your favorite was when they go. So and I could just hear this in the writing meeting. All right, when the guy is looking at him and he goes, wait a second though. So they're brothers, but I'm gonna do a character.
Wait a second. So they're brothers, I get that, but what are their last names? I got no idea.
What are their last names? And it's like, well, they should be Mario, right? Shouldn't that be the last name? Do you remember the scene that I'm talking about here?
I do.
Where it's it's like, oh, so your name is Luigi Mario, right? You're Luigi Mario, but then you're Mario. Like they couldn't like make it fucking spaghetti or something like anything else, like Mario Linguini. That's a much better name, I feel, than Mario.
They couldn't come up with anything if they tried. I think that they figured that was too over budget if they came up with a last name for them. So they were just like, fuck it, who cares? Just cut their last names off. No one's gonna buy into this shit anyway, and no one did. That was the worst part. Like, I thought after this movie there'd be no more video game movies left.
Right.
And then they made Street Fighter.
Oh, Street Fighter. Let's pull up the trailer for Street Fighter here. Let's marvel in this fantastic piece of shit.
After 7 months of fighting, the civil war in Shadaloo may have reached the turning point.
You know, before I felt bad because the quality was bad, but I guess it doesn't matter since the whole movie's a piece of shit anyway.
In a struggle for the fate of the world.
Oh my god. What's that guy's name?
Rufus Sewell. Wait, no, not Rufus Sewell. Val Julia.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Don't mess
kill
up.
Bison's ass.
I don't think so.
Raul Julia.
You'll have to do better than that.
Okay.
Wait, was that Falaba that I just saw there?
Now, who wants to go home and who wants to go with me?
Just gotta let it go all the way on that laughter clip for fucking Jean-Claude. So, well, I don't even really remember. I don't even know if I've seen the full movie of this. I think I've seen like online reviews of this. But the one thing that I really took away, which made me just scream right there, was that Ryu right there was the cheapest Bruce Lee I think I've ever seen in my entire life.
Oh my god! Like, they couldn't have whitewashed that role, and I hate to say whitewash because he's not a white dude, but they could have at least gotten a Japanese actor to come in and do it, but they didn't. They pushed for someone neutral.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie to you, when I was a kid, this was one of my favorite binge movies. Like, I can't even pretend to hate this because it was so bad. It was amazingly good because you have to. Street Fighter was such a fucking cultural phenomenon. Before Mortal Kombat came in and gave us blood, because I was a fight game kid. I couldn't play Madden. You know, I was okay at Mario, but fighting games were what I was great at. And Street Fighter, especially like the Street Fighter Capcom, versus Marvel games, were so much fun. But this movie should have been awesome because you had, at the time, Jean-Claude Van Damme was still making some pretty successful movies. I mean, you had Time Cop, like Universal Soldier, what was it, Lionheart, and he was a legit martial artist,
Yeah.
actor. And then, Raul Julia, who would have thought that Gomez Adams
I know.
would come in and not. He was the best part of this movie, and that's not knocking it. Like,
Yeah.
he stole every scene he was in, and to think he was dying when this was going on. Like, he died as soon as production wrapped before the movie hit theaters. But there was the Blanca was just a dude with body paint on, essentially.
Right.
And you had Cammy, and she was just a British girl in leggings and pigtails, and it was just so bad. But the one thing that I can remember was E. Honda was the cameraman for Chung Lee, who was a Global News Network reporter, and he and Zangief get into a fight on the model set of what is Bisonopolis, essentially, and they do like the cheesy Godzilla versus insert monster here fight, and they play the music over it, and it's just these two dudes smashing this model set, and you're just like, as a kid, you think it's so funny. It didn't age well. No. And in the movie, you heard, and I heard you laugh your ass off when Jean-Claude Van Damme was like, who wants to stay home and who wants to fight with me?
Yeah. It's definitely like the one thing about it where it's like, I want to stay home. I don't know if I really want to fight with you right now, Jean-Claude. You seem to be all amped up on it. You know what I mean?
And he's got the really bad tattoo, like the really bad stick-on tattoo.
Yeah.
And it was just so over the top. And like the worst part about this is I thought we were going to get a good Street Fighter video game out of this.
Oh, no. Oh, not at all.
As bad as the movie was, the video game was fucking worse. Like, I almost wanted to throw my Sega Saturn out of the window playing, and I'm just like, oh, fuck. They ruined this, too.
Because what they did, though, I remember this game, because what they did was they took the style, right? Like, the technology of like, Mortal Kombat, where they would take pictures and use them as frames in a sense, and then make it so that it looked like fluent motion and stuff like that. But they did it so bad and so cheap. Like anybody that's ever played a video game will know what I'm saying. When they make a movie and the movie's a hit, they'll make a shitty game right after it, right? But what they did was they went from a good video game to a shitty movie to an even shittier game, trying to copy who they were competing with.
And the worst part about that video game is they tried to take the outfits that the actors were wearing and transition it over into the gameplay. And I'm sure, people Google image some of the screenshots from this video game. Oh my God, it was a fucking dumpster abortion. And the worst part is at that time, you had the Mortal Kombat games were really starting to amp up their gameplay. And so you were trying to beat Mortal Kombat to the punch of making a movie. You had well-known actors in it, but they dropped the ball, and the movie was just it cost $35 million to make, and it only made $33 million in the United States, but overall it made worldwide over $100 million. So at that time it was a success.
Definitely. So that was one of the things that you wanted to bring up before too, was that a lot of these movies, even though there were flops in the United States, like overseas, like those people will buy into anything.
Oh, absolutely. You have to take into consideration, and this is what a lot of studios are doing now. And a good example of this, I know we're probably jumping ahead on years, because we haven't even talked about like Mortal Kombat or Tomb Raider yet. Was if you go back and you look at Warcraft,
right,
which came out in 2016, it was almost a $200 million movie to make, and in the United States, it didn't even make $50 million. It made like 47.3. But then overseas, it made $433 million. So a tenth of the total gross of this film was United States. The rest was overseas. And even that weekend, it was #1 around the world, but it wasn't #1 in the United States. And, it was a good looking movie and it was a good story. I watched it, but it didn't transition well as far as mass appeal in the United States. You know, you look at video game movies, and I think you and I can agree on this. Like we disagree on anything very much, but superhero movies tend to make a lot of money in the States and tend to make a lot of money overseas. Video game movies, it's hit or miss with your audience. Like Mortal Kombat, in comparison to Street Fighter, you know, was cheaper made and made a lot more money both domestically and worldwide.
Right.
So, and Mortal Kombat, I think, of the three movies we've just talked about, Mortal Kombat was the best, as far as a fluid story, and actually the action. And because I'm a kung fu buff, I love me some Bruce Lee movies, and you know, Jackie Chan, especially any of the stuff he did over in Hong Kong. It looked, the fight scenes were better choreographed and the acting was better, but it had lesser known actors. I think really the only actor anyone knew from the Mortal Kombat movie was Christopher Lambert from the Highlander films.
Yeah, no, definitely. I don't know. I'm still thinking about like how as you called it before, whitewash, just Americanized. They tried to make that whole the Ryu Bruce Lee with it. Oh my gosh. So, what's a movie that you think was a total abomination and just an insult to from one platform to another?
Okay, all right. So, first off, the original Lara Croft Tomb Raider,
with Angelina.
Yes, with Angelina Jolie. And I know that people might argue with me and they'll be like, well, how can you say that? It's like, I've never thought Angelina Jolie was a great actress.
She doesn't have to be. She's got a great body.
Exactly. And at that time, she was at the height of her hotness. Like, this was right before Mr. and Mrs. Smith. And I think, honestly, that's her best role. But that was because, you know, she was banging Brad Pitt at the time. So it was kind of believable.
Yeah, she was banging Brad Pitt.
She was straight up. She stole Jen Aniston's man. But I look at that and I'm like,
did she? All right, hold on. All right,
yeah.
Did she steal Jennifer Aniston's man, or like oh no, was he like, oh my god, I don't want to put my penis inside of you? Like I don't doubt that for a second.
If you believe like the National Enquirer and all that bullshit, because you know. I don't think of the three the actor and the two actresses in question, they ever actually came out and said what happened. But the rumor mill that you heard on like E! News Network is Brad wanted kids, Jennifer Aniston did not, Angelina Jolie was all DTF and all about, you know, adopting kids and making babies and all that other shit. And so Brad Pitt, I think on the set just kind of fell for her and went away. But I hate to say this, and please don't take this terribly.
I'm ready
to. If you do a 2018 snapshot of Angelina Jolie and a snapshot of Jennifer Aniston, you can tell Brad made the wrong choice. Because although Angelina Jolie...
Because she had kids.
Well, so
there you go. She had multiple kids, and she adopted multiple kids. And the adoption, as you being a parent will know, like, well, not an adoptive parent, but just being a parent in general, it's a very stressful thing.
Oh, yeah. Meanwhile, Jennifer Aniston is, you know, smoking weed and making brownies, and she has aged flawlessly.
Oh, yeah.
And she looks like she did on Friends season 3.
It's like when you compare you and me. Like, you've had kids, and I didn't, and look how great I look.
And you don't have the gray hairs that I do, and I will agree with you on that one.
I feel like they're starting to come in, but I don't know. I'm just kidding. Wow. That was me wowing it because I'm an asshole.
Oh, it's all right. But you know, I didn't like Angelina Jolie's Tomb Raider, and I didn't like Tomb Raider 2. But then the funny part is they just released, you know, that new Tomb Raider film earlier this year, and it didn't do anything at the box office in comparison to those two. And they were trying to be more accurate to the video game character. Like, she didn't have the giant bazookas underneath her tank top. They weren't putting her in like super skimpy outfits running through the jungles and everything. and it flopped. They tried to be more true to the video game, and it ended up not working. And then you have the Resident Evil series,
Right.
which, I mean, they made what 6, 7 of those films in a 10-year period, because I think the first one came out in 2002 and the last one came out in 2016. And late last year they were talking about rebooting the series and starting all over again and making it more accurate to the first video game. It's like they milked that franchise for all it was worth.
But then let's go. I know it's not a video game, but there have been video games of it per se. Let's look at like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You know, because like when you look at that franchise, where the very first one was pretty realistic to its comic book counterpart, right? Very
Absolutely.
dark and everything like that, and that was definitely the best one. It was nuts. They freaking killed a guy.
They boot him off they knock him off of a building, and then Casey Jones crushes him with a trash compactor. It's like they didn't just kill him. He was just like, I'm going to commit murder in front of all of these people, and no one's going to say shit.
And the best was how like Casey Jones is like, oops, like he just totally like oh whoops, and like he just murdered a guy. How did he not get in trouble? I feel like he like ran away at the end, didn't he? Or no, he didn't. He made out with April right at the very end. Right?
He made out with April and then didn't show up until the third one. But
yeah, because he was a murderer.
We're gonna sell action figures of a murderer. That's Charlie Manson.
Oh man.
But the funny part is there was a lot of blowback to that movie. I mean, we're sitting here joking, and as kids, we didn't register anything, because if you think about it, in the original cut of the movie, remember Tatsu, Shredder's number 2?
Yeah, of course.
But he goes into that locker room all pissed off, and he beats that kid to death.
Oh, fuck yeah, he does.
He beats him to fucking death. They burn down a building. They nearly kill Raphael. They crush Shredder in a trash compactor. They're fucking people up from the
Oh yeah, and they almost raped April. How about that whole thing?
Oh yeah. When you're starting a movie off with rape, like
it's PG.
But the funny part is that I went and saw it as a kid in theaters, and I was like, oh yeah, this is fucking phenomenal. This is so great. And I didn't realize until I was an adult the blowback from parents groups. I have the Ninja Turtle book, The History of the Turtles, and it goes chapter by chapter through the eras of the Turtles. They talk about in depth, first off, the making of that movie and how arduous it was to film, but then the blowback from parents groups, which is why in Ninja Turtles 2 you had Vanilla Ice dancing with the turtles, and you had Michelangelo was beating people with sausage, literal sausage, and it like they very rarely.
Yeah, and like Leonardo has like the swords or katanas, I think they're called, right?
Yes.
But he never uses them at all because he's not allowed to.
Yeah, they completely neutered the turtles. So by the time we get a reboot, and I mean I'm not going to talk about the Turtles in Time because that was just garbage. But by the time we got a reboot with Michael Bay, it was almost like I hate to say this, we were so happy that at least we were getting a Ninja Turtles movie that we didn't care who was making it. It was like the lesser of two evils. And then by the time we got it, it was like it was almost like the genie's out of the bottle. But to get back to the video game thing, because that's where we led. You and I both have fond memories of the NES Turtles in Time video game and the original Ninja Turtle video game, which actually was released with all of them having the red masks like they had in the Eastman and
Are you talking about
comic.
the original one where it's like you, the one where you would drive around in the car from level to level?
Yes.
That one sucked ass. I hate that
But
one.
it was at least a Ninja Turtles video game, and you have to remember, at least it was something. And that was before Turtles got really commercial with the Fox Kids show, the Wolf Production show. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we were really, I'd like to say, fortunate in that. But you're right, like, just some things didn't, like, you can put the original Turtles movie up against any comic book movie, and it's still, even though it's over 20 years old, I think that was 1990. Yeah, 1990. Yep. So almost 30 years old. It's still better than 95% of the comic book movies that are put out even today. Storyline wise and everything. Like, you fell for that movie.
Exactly. Because the whole thing is that a lot of these other ones, like, they're just kind of rushed. You know what I mean? It's like they're just cookie cuttered, like you know, clearly the writers of these things had gone to film school because there's the whole formula and everything like that. But at the same time, it's like it doesn't. They don't try. You know what I mean? They're basically doing it just to get millions and millions of dollars, which is great for business. And you know, that's for me. That's like the one thing that I really care about in terms of anything lately. Just because you know I'm getting older, is making money and looking at it in terms of business. But as far as like a creative standpoint, and I don't know, a lot of them just to me are kind of the same.
Which is what happened with the Resident Evil series. Like the first Resident Evil and the second Resident Evil Apocalypse in the entire franchise is my favorite. Because that's when they brought in Nemesis and that's when they went from being... That's when they became a zombie movie. Because the outbreak was in Raccoon City and it took over. And Resident Evil as a film series, I think that was probably their best. Maybe not as far as, you know, making money, but it was awesome. And, you know, I'm all about making that money, but I also like a story that makes sense. And you don't have to be $100 million production to be a good movie. You know what I mean? Like, just because you dump a shit ton of money into it doesn't mean it's going to be a great story. I look at Avatar, James Cameron's Avatar, and although the motion capture suits and everything, you know, change the way movies are made, because that seems to be what James Cameron does. Just when you think, you know, he's gone, he creates something like Terminator 2, and then Titanic, and then Avatar. For all intents and purposes, all Avatar was Fern Gully and Pocahontas in space.
Yeah.
It was so spoon-fed to the audience, everything that was going to happen. It was almost like they would say something on screen and someone was tapping on the floor next to you like, remember this because this is going to be important in 45 minutes. And it halfway through the movie, I already had checked out. I was just there because it was IMAX 3D, and I'm like, holy shit, this looks cool.
And you spent like $30 for the ticket.
Exactly, not knowing in a year or two, every movie was going to be 3D IMAX.
Right. Are you there?
So what?
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. So what's one of video game movies that you can't stand, that you're like, how the fuck did this get made?
Honestly, sometimes not because it was bad, right? But definitely...
Well, not because it was bad, but just how the fuck did this get made?
I mean, I understand the theory because of, you know, money and everything like that, but it just some weird scenes and some crazy shit. I would definitely have to go with probably the Mortal Kombat movie. You know what I mean? Going into this movie where it's just I don't know. We're dealing with a lot of like crazy like biblical kind of shit, and like for kids, I know that like my little brother was obsessed with this movie. I think this was his binge movie growing up for sure, and I don't know. I just, to me, like thinking like about this stuff with like a god and everything like that. Like I don't know. I just feel like it was a little much. But let's take a look at the preview.
It has begun.
You can't run from me, Shang.
I don't need to run.
Johnny Cage, Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Sonya.
Combat begins.
You know, and it only played half the trailer there, but I think we hit it right on the mark where we were supposed to watch it. But fuck, I wish they got that guy to play Ryu instead of him going and being in Beverly Hills Ninja with Chris Farley. Like I love Chris Farley, but shit, like that Karate Master dude was the man.
That was Robin's show, and I know you're gonna be like, how the fuck do you know this off the top of your head?
Yeah, what the fuck?
Your brother and I'm just letting everyone know right now, I'm not Googling anything. I'm literally going off the top of my head. Mortal Kombat, the movie, was my fucking shit when that fucking film came out. I can remember, this is how much I couldn't wait to see this movie. It was in the Glen Drive-Ins in Queensbury, and my dad did not want to go see this movie, and I made a
so
bet
your dad is a very intelligent person, is what you're saying.
Essentially, that I'm not gonna lie, he is way smarter than me.
Right.
High five for dad. So what happened was, I told my dad, and I made an agreement. If this movie is #1 at the box office this weekend, we will go to the drive-ins and see it the upcoming weekend. And it was #1. And I can remember going and seeing it and him being like, all right, honestly, it wasn't that bad. And it's like, when my dad's a sci-fi nerd and he loves Game of Thrones and, you know, any kind of alternate universe, Hyperion kind of sci-fi stuff, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, don't let him fool you, he's a nerd. So I think he kind of dug it. But Robin Show was a Hong Kong actor, and this was his first American film.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that stuck out about him was, because on the VHS, they had like a 20-minute making of special. He did all of his own stunts. There wasn't any wire work or anything. So the one scene in the trailer where you see him running up a wall and then kicking a guy and doing that pose, that was actually legit him. So whenever there was a fight scene with him or any of the actors, in fact, you'll notice that Sonya Blade was played by the teacher from Billy Madison. She did all of her own stunts. Everyone that was in it was a legit, kung fu or martial arts trained actor.
Wait, did you just say the blonde girl was martial arts trained?
Yeah. They trained her specifically for several months ahead of time to be able to do all of the fights in those movies. Like, she worked her ass off in order to be able to do all of the stuff in that movie. Shockingly enough, yeah.
So you're telling me the girl that helped Billy Madison study by taking her clothes off was martial arts trained?
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Want to touch the hiney?
You know what? I just realized in my head, now that we're talking about it, that movie is a gateway for all these other projects, because she did that movie with Billy Madison, then she did that movie with Liu Kang, and then Liu Kang did that movie with Chris Farley, who was in the original movie of Billy Madison there.
Let's just say that all of the Billy Madison universe, the Happy Madison universe, right now in the background, there is a death tournament taking place. And all this shit is going on. But yeah, and I mentioned earlier, Christopher Lambert, the Highlander movies. I love the Highlander movies. I love the Highlander show. But, he was Raiden. And although he was not the Raiden that we saw in the video game, I thought...
No, this guy was fucking crazy, though. Like, holy shit. Absolutely nuts this guy was. Just biblical proportions out of crazy.
One of my favorite lines in the movie was, "The fate of billions is in your hands," and he laughs in their faces and then goes, "I'm sorry." It's almost like... It's like, how big of a dick? It's like, oh yes, at this time, 3 billion people's lives rest in our hands. No fucking pressure. Thanks.
Oh yeah,
dick.
yeah. But I'm not gonna be able to help you too. That was the whole thing, right? He was. He kept saying like, yeah, there's all this going on right now, but unfortunately, I can't stick around. So.
And then by Annihilation, he was replaced. I think the dude who played Sonya and Johnny Cage were replaced. And the actor who played Jax at the beginning of Mortal Kombat, he was replaced. And it was just kind of like, yeah, let's just throw a bunch of people in. And also, if you want to mark out for 5 seconds, I'm going to throw some knowledge about this movie that I just discovered this weekend.
Do it.
On the Something to Wrestle With podcast by Bruce Pritchard.
Oh, okay.
The actor the actor who played Sub-Zero was the doctor who helped Mick Foley after he got thrown off of the cell.
Oh, really? The guy with the hair? The long hair?
Yes. Scavenge.
Wow.
Dr. Scavenge was Sub-Zero in Mortal Kombat. Believe it or not, apparently this guy was a legit badass, and
they all are.
He would do like chiropractor and acupuncture therapy to all of the WWE wrestlers. And after Mick Foley was thrown off the cell, the reason Mick Foley was walking around the next day was because he aligned him as soon as the pay-per-view was over, kind of thing. Maybe not his brain.
Oh yeah, so
but,
that nothing that happened could really like set in or anything like that.
So that nothing could set in. And so like Triple H has talked about on documentaries that, you know, Mick Foley was walking around the next day. Well, there you go. He was one of the reasons. Bruce Pritchard would get aligned by him. What had happened is that they had heard about Dr. Scavenge. He was based out of the West Coast, I believe Napa Valley area. And they just said, fuck it. All of our WWE guys are going there. And Vince Russo actually recommended him because Vince Russo would go there for a couple days out of every few months to get realigned. And then they were like, well, let's just put him on the payroll and bring him on the road, not knowing he would be out there when Mick Foley was thrown off the cell. So, yeah, the original Sub-Zero in the Mortal Kombat series was Dr. Scavenge. So,
hey, bro. You gotta get, if you're gonna get your acupuncture from anybody, it's this guy, because I created him.
It's Sub-Zero, bro.
Oh,
they're totally
yeah. Let's talk about that next. Like the other correlation between the Mortal Kombat movie and professional wrestling.
Is your blood about to run cold?
Oh, it's freezing. It's absolutely freezing. I don't know if I should get some hot water or if I should put some ice cubes in my water. What are we talking about here?
Glacier from WCW, my God.
Yeah, geez, seriously, my God. Glacier is definitely one of these characters that nobody wants to talk about. So why don't you kind of break down Glacier a little bit? That way the people can know.
So around 1997, Mortal Kombat Annihilation was coming to the big screen. It was the sequel to Mortal Kombat. And at this time, Time Warner had acquired New Line Cinema. So if you go back and you watch any of the movies from, I believe, 95 and up, it's New Line Cinema, a Time Warner company. So Time Warner, owning WCW, decided that, I don't know how it came about, but they decided that they were going to take one of their new characters that they were going to debut on television, and he was going to be Glacier. And they had these really cool, awesome vignettes. And as a wrestling fan, like, you always are like, okay, what if you're getting a vignette, if you're getting TV time before you even step in the ring, that means they're going to put some stock behind you. They're already giving valuable TV time to this wrestler, and we haven't seen him perform yet. It was basically like glimpses of him and snow, and the tagline for him was "Blood Runs Cold," and Glacier coming soon to WCW. And then when he debuted, he looked exactly like Sub-Zero from Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, like identical. Blue contact lens, the white hair, because
I'm trying to play it right now. It's fucking up. Sorry.
Oh, it's all right.
It's totally. Jesus, come on, just go. Look at this. If this doesn't rip off a video game movie character, I don't know what does. Oh, fantastic. All right, continue. Sorry.
And when he finally debuted, the arena went dark. There was blue lights because for WCW Nitro fans, you remember the old Nitro entrance, and they actually made it fucking snow in the arena.
Yeah.
So the presentation was awesome for this character, and like he comes out and he looks like Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 Sub-Zero, like I said, where his hair was white and his face was, he had the face mask on, but not anything, covering up his head like we remember from Sub-Zero in the movie. And then he gets to the ring, and then
just like
that was it.
Just like a lot of the movies that we're talking about here, it just kind of was a dud. But even Eric Bischoff, the former president of WCW, said that was a character that they put a lot of time and money into to make it right. It's just sometimes it doesn't go over as well as they think. I'm gonna, and I think you'll agree with me on this one. Had it not been in the middle of the Monday Night War with the NWO and with the Cruiserweights, had this come out, I'd like to say 3 years prior. Let's go with 1994. Had this character debuted in 94, he would have been over like Rover, man. Like, he would have been U.S. champion. He would have been television champion based on the gimmick alone. Yeah, but
gimmick could have sold.
I love when people do that, because I'm a jerk, and because I say, yeah, but they didn't do it. They didn't do it then. See, it's really hard to make that argument. Like, I can see your point. I don't think that you're wrong, but at the same time, like, I just think that they did it when they did it, and there's a reason why it didn't flop. But yeah, I get what you're saying. It's just they kind of screwed the pooch. I mean,
and it's kind of. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was done. I was saying they screwed the pooch on that.
Oh yeah, because it's kind of funny because you have this Glacier character who's clearly a Mortal Kombat homage, ripoff, however we want to say it. At the same time, we've got Sting blatantly being the Crow, and it worked. It worked amazingly. But you also have to look at the work.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's gonna go with all of them. Like, Scott Hall was Scarface. You know what I mean? Like, Shawn Michaels was he was Def Leppard or any of those 80s rockers for the longest time. Everyone says he was a stripper, but really, to me, I think that he was just like an 80s rocker. But yeah, I mean, but they tried with Glacier, and apparently Bischoff made it seem like they put way more money into it than we thought. You know what I mean? But as far as the guy himself, everyone I've ever talked to has said like this guy is I don't even know what his real name is, but very respectful, very happy to still be doing it because he's still taking bumps and everything like that today.
Oh. I watched him show up WrestleMania weekend at one of the
Joey Janela,
the many shows that were going on.
Yeah, it was Joey Janela's spring break.
Shit, the moment he showed up, he looked phenomenal. And I mean, I'm not taking anything away. I just think it was almost wrong time, wrong execution for what could have been a really cool character from a video game.
Yeah, shout out to Brett Lauderdale too, by the way. You're my boy. Besides that, is there any other video games that are really popping in your head? Because I think we should probably wrap it up soon.
Oh, just one more movie comes to mind, and I mean, because we mentioned the Happy Madison franchise, Pixels.
Pixels. But I'm glad that you're bringing the Happy Madison franchise again, because side note, again, because, that's what we do, I thought about that whole thing with him, right? And I've thought about the track record of Adam Sandler movies lately, and a lot of them just seems to me it's like he makes a movie when it's time for him to go on vacation, and he figures out where he wants to go for this vacation, and then they write a film around it. Like, that's the way that he writes, because if you notice, it's always like I think I want to hang out with my buddies and get a cabin for like a week. Oh yeah, we should all have kids. You know what I mean? Hey, you know what? Me and my buddy.
Now that you say it.
Yeah. And think about it, because for him it's all a write-off anyway. He doesn't give a fuck, and then he's making money on top of it. Like, oh
It's
my
like,
god!
I'm gonna bring my family to Hawaii while I go film this movie with Drew Barrymore.
Yeah.
Or you know, hey kids, you want to go to Toronto? Or you know, what was it? The Ridiculous Six. It's like, hey kids, who wants to go see the Grand Canyon? And oh, by the way, we're just gonna film a western.
We're
while
gonna
there for a
pretend to
couple
be
weeks.
cowboys too. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's fine. But like honestly, I wish I could live my life like that. You know, like.
I mean,
what were you gonna say?
Who was it? Will Smith on Men in Black 3 had the tour bus for his family that was so big it broke city ordinances in New York City.
Yeah.
Like, imagine that. Like, you know, no wonder his kids, like, we might think that Jaden Smith is out of touch, but it's like, when you grow up and your dad is Will Smith, of course you're gonna grow up out of touch. Like, I don't think he's a bad kid. I mean, Karate Kid was whatever, but yeah, like, I look at Pixels, man, and that just shat all over every Atari game that there ever was, or any arcade game that there ever could have been. That just took a steaming pile right on.
You know, I didn't even watch it because it just was the reviews were just horrible. I was excited, like I did want to see it because I was like, oh, this could be really sweet. But then everyone said it wasn't. So
I did watch it.
Okay.
And Adam Sandler playing the, like how can I say this? He and Peter Dinklage were competitors at arcade games back in the early 80s, and somehow Adam Sandler's best friends were a WizKid video game player and Kevin James, who eventually becomes president of the United States.
Okay.
And Adam Sandler just works as like a Geek Squad Best Buy kind of guy helping because he's so detracted that he lost this video game tournament to Peter Dinklage back in the 80s. That it's like the weirdest fucking thing. And Peter Dinklage is a video game rebel who's in prison for, you know, like Grand Theft Auto and all this other. It's the craziest fucking subplot to aliens getting a record that we sent them back in the 80s and are like, oh, well, this is a declaration of war because Max Headroom is going to be their spokesman. It's like, how the fuck did they manage this?
It just fits the whole bill with the Adam Sandler, like, oh, you like that? I'm just gonna shit all over it with a movie. You know,
it's like of all the people who could have optioned this little YouTube video, it was Adam Sandler. It's like, well, that was a good idea. Bye.
Exactly. No, I hear you. All right, well, Sergeant Fury, glad that we were able to do this tonight.
Me too. Thanks, Tim, for getting a hold of me, because literally all of this spurned from Halo getting a TV series, and we just went and ranted and raved and had some fun. I loved it.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to do the next one.
Yeah, me too. So I have one more video for us to watch on the way out, and it's one that we need.
Is everything all right in here?
Yes, ma'am. Babies, we make our dreams come true. Muppet babies will do the same for you.
I can't believe I could hit those high notes.
Oh.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.